When can I retire? This is a question which many people ask, and there is no answer to it which is very easy. So first of all, I've always said retirement is a sum of money, or an amount of cash flow that you can generate out of your corpus, and not really an age thing, right? Somebody may retire at 60, somebody may retire at 70, right? I know people who are aspiring to retire at 70, not from a money point of view, but from an activity point of view. So I'm only answering the money question today. I'm of course you have to find yourself a hobby, you have to find something to do, all that. I'm not talking about that. I am saying it is a cash flow number and not an age number. It is a sum total number and not a age number, right? So that is the day when you can retire completely from a financial point of view. Whether you want to retire, whether you have some social activity, whether you have anything else to do, whether you like to travel, whether you like to sing and dance, you want to carry on your hobbies. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking purely from a financial point of view and saying how you should have a spending plan. See, first of all, there is a simple theory which says 30 times the expenses that you have at the age of 60 is what is the sum of money that you require. You need thumb rules, right? It is because a thumb rule gives you an approximate figure. So if you're spending 12 lakhs at the age of 60, you need 3.6 crores. That is at the base level. Somebody may say, okay, if Subra says 3.6, I want 7.2. Somebody may say, oh, I have 3.7 and that's good enough. So you decide on your comfort level. However, please understand that many of these thumb rules may not be very easy to understand, and it is also very difficult to work with that on a regular basis. So some rule of thumb is good to overall target a number. So if you're 45 years of age and you have your expenses, you say, okay, at 60 I'll have these expenses. So it's a good thing to do. However, by the time you're 55, it is nice to put a spending plan in place and to see how you are going to really spend money. So I was talking to somebody and I said that the big learning as far as retirement is concerned is starting to plan your expenses from your age of 55, right? You sit down and think how much you're spending. So how would you go about doing it? Like, how would you make a retirement budget? It's very difficult because you have to talk of a 30 or 40 year time frame. So first I would suggest that you get yourself a notebook and or an Excel sheet. It is not either or, and I'll tell you why. You write down the broad categories in which you're going to spend money. So it's very simple. You're definitely going to spend money on utilities, society charges, all your electricity bill, water bill, etc. You're going to spend money on travel. In the sense, you're going to spend money on transport. Maybe you're just going to the grocery and coming, but you're taking an auto or you're driving your car. So travel and conveyance expenses. So maybe travel is zero. I'm not even getting into should travel be there or no. That's your call. Then maybe you are committed to give some charity. How much are you going to spend on groceries? How much are you going to spend on one number which people forget is taxes. Because when you are in service, TDS happens and you don't really make big payouts. Every month maybe you are paying 70,000 in tax or 1 lakh in tax, but that is not going out of your hand, so you don't realize. Actually the truth is maybe you are earning 5 lakhs, you are paying 1 lakh tax and you are getting 4 lakhs. You start to live on 4 lakhs. Now in retirement you are going to get 5 lakhs and pay that 1 lakh, right? I mean the numbers might change, but you are going to make that payment. So planning for taxes, planning for housing related stuff, right? Anything. Maybe you paint your house once in 6-7 years. Then some kind of entertainment. Maybe you go out for movies, things like that. You pay cable charges. All that is entertainment. Any travel related stuff. General shopping, right? So buying slippers, shoes, whatever. Some of those things. Obviously you will be spending money on healthcare, which means healthcare means what you're paying to the doctors. This is not insurance. Then of course you have your insurance expenses. You may not have term insurance. Please see whether it is appropriate for you to have term insurance. But you write down all these expenses which are regular. Then you take another piece of paper in which you write down expenses which are not regular. For example, you want to buy a car every 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever. So if you need to buy a car every 7 years, and that car is going to cost you 15 lakhs when you buy it, or maybe 21 lakhs when you buy it, it means you need 3 lakhs every year, that is 25,000 rupees every month. So you will have to put away 25,000 rupees every month for that car, and of course there will be some residual value of this car. Assume that to be zero, but start targeting and put it in some fund or whatever. But right now estimate that. So all those expenses or reserves which you are creating will be necessary. Please understand that I know 70-year-olds who are trying to buy their biggest car ever spent, right? It could be a Merc SUV or things like that. Yeah, they have the money, they can spend. So it's not to say, oh, after retirement I'll drive a small car. Maybe you'll drive a big car. You know yourself better. Once your preliminary list of categories, life categories, subcategories are ready, write down your current monthly spend and estimated retirement spend. Here I want you to go year wise, right? So this now you are spending 5,000 rupees on eating out. Then I want you to go 2026, 2027, 2028 for 30 years. Do you need to estimate for 30 years? No, you need to estimate for 5 years and see whether the rule of thumb is working, right? So maybe your expenses will increase, maybe your expenses will decrease. Every case I know, every case, I'm not saying one or two, every case that I've dealt with people, their expenses from 60 to 70 is higher than the expenses from 50 to 60, apart from children's expenses. So if you have been paying school fees, college fees, whatever, that will all cease perhaps by the time you're 60, or for some people it may cease even later. And so for those expenses, if you remove, people spend more from 60 to 70 than they spent on 50 to 60 on themselves. Maybe they bought some clothes for work, but that may go down. But other than that, there might be more travel, there might be more entertainment, there might be buying a bigger car. All those things happen from 60 to 70. After 70, expenses go down a bit. But yes, write down your current monthly spend, write down your current, your estimated monthly spend for 3-4 years, maybe 5 years. So then what happens is, for each of those columns, inflation may be different. One piece of expense I forgot is what you pay to your domestic help, your cook, your driver, if you have a gardener, right? So salaries go up at a rate much faster than, say, your replacement of car or replacement of TV or things like that. Though they don't go up that fast, but yeah, salaries do go up. And when you're talking salaries, you will have to talk 13 months because or maybe 14 months, simply because you will be giving them a Diwali bonus. They will be taking 1 month leave, during which time you may use somebody else, right? So be prepared for that kind of a thing. After you get your current spending column, spend time thinking on how it will change in retirement, right? So maybe your electricity bill will go up because you're going to spend more time at home. Maybe your comfort requirement will go up. Maybe more people will visit you. So some of these things you estimate and say this is what will happen. Electricity cost could go up. There could be taxation. There could be GST, right? Right now there is no GST on electricity, so maybe 18% could come. I'm not sure about GST on electricity, but I'm saying some of these taxes could come, something could happen, expenses could go up. Then all those expenses which I would call accrual is the expenses which are two types of accrual. One is which you're going to pay on a yearly basis. Suppose you're paying 2 lakh rupees. Let's say suppose you're paying 2,40,000 rupees as medical insurance, which means it is 20,000 per month. It is not as though you're going to pay it every month, but you need to estimate it on a monthly basis rather than on an annual basis. Or you keep another page. Page 1 was your current expenses, page 2 was your capex every few years, and third you say accrual expenses which you're going to pay annually, right? Some special charge in the society is going to charge you something, your car insurance, your medical insurance and things like that, which you pay on an annual basis, but which has to be thought of on a monthly basis, so that you know how much is going to be your monthly. I also spoke about taxation. So whenever you receive your dividend, interest, whatever, you need to understand that maybe 20% of that or maybe even 30% of that will go off as taxes. Right now, if there is TDS, it is only 10%, so you will have to provide for the balance. then an inflation assumption which could be different for each one. So based on that, you will estimate your next 5 years expenses. And I think you should sit with your wife and do all these kind of exercise. Do this exercise completely. Maybe take the help of your children. I want you to maintain this in a notebook and in an Excel sheet, because whenever you are reminded or you think, you write down in your notebook, you can then go back to your notebook more easily. Of course, you can go back to your Excel sheet, but it may not be handy. You may say, oh, I'll log it in later and then I'll forget and things like that. And if it is a notebook which is lying on the dining table, you or your wife can both keep estimating. So estimating how much money you will need at retirement. Of course, we all give you a thumb rule, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times, whatever it is, but it's better that you sit and start calculating how much you think it will be from the age of 60 to 65, and start this exercise at your age of 55, so that you know when you can really retire. Then at 65 you can see what happened, whether thumb rule of 30 times is sufficient. That you can check later. Just because there is a thumb rule is good for a 35, 45, even a 50-year-old to estimate how much he requires or she requires at retirement. But by the time you're 55, you want to put in the numbers and see exactly how it will look. Thank you.